I cannot believe it's real, but it's real. Jerry Jones actually just traded Micah Parsons. How does this impact the Eagles-Cowboys season opener next week? We're going to get into it coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome into this Thursday edition of the show. We are brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use our code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 bet. A blockbuster trade, one of the biggest trades we've seen, not just in recent NFL history, but I would say it's one of the most shocking, ridiculous trades in the history of the NFL. Just happened 15 minutes ago. I was literally about to hit record. Thank God I didn't, because the Dallas Cowboys, they actually did it. I thought this was going to be just like the Terry McLaurin trade request, like, even Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett. These are how current negotiations work. Modern negotiations, a player requests a trade. Eventually there's a middle ground met with the team. An extension gets done. No. Jerry Jones' ego couldn't get out of the way to save Micah Parsons from a different fate. Micah Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and for Kenny Clark. If you are not proud to be an Eagles fan today, if you're not proud that Howie Roseman is your general manager, if you're not proud and happy and feeling grateful to be in this division in the NFC East with teams like the Dallas Cowboys, if you're not feeling that, then you're never going to feel it, because this is an all-time blunder for Jerry Jones, and it's a new low even for him. The Dallas Cowboys, this trade is the perfect representation of who the Cowboys have been my entire lifetime over the last 30 years. The Dallas Cowboys are the only team in the NFC that have not made it to the NFC Championship in the 21st century. Why? Because of Jerry Jones, because of things like this trade that just happened today, where you are dealing an elite top 5 pass rusher, not even in his prime yet, because Jerry Jones' ego could not handle the fact that Micah Parsons and his agent wouldn't accept this deal that Jerry Jones, his crazy toxic ego, made up in his head that they had a verbal deal done between himself and Micah Parsons. Because Parsons and his agent would not accept that, he could not handle it, and he traded him away. Jerry Jones tried to go behind Parsons' agent's back, a closed-door agreement with Parsons himself. He tried to take advantage of Parsons without an agent so he could get 5 years of term, which would be so much team control. He could get him for a much better price. He did not want to pay him the $47 million a year he just got from the Green Bay Packers on a new extension. In his head, he had a different offer, and he thought, he is so toxically egotistical that he made up in his head that this deal was done. And so because Parsons and his agent wanted to continue negotiating, he could not handle it. He could not handle that he doesn't have all the power, that the Dallas Cowboys way, players aren't bending at the knee for that anymore. Jerry Jones, I got news for you. Players have not been bending at the knee for the Dallas Cowboy way since VHS was the main playback system of entertainment. Nobody has been seeing your franchise in that same light that you do since the 1990s. And that's exactly why you got to go out there and make a Netflix documentary about the good old days, because that's the only way you stay relevant. Because in your own division, the Eagles are winning championships, and you're not. You're not even winning playoff games. You're going out there and trading, 25 years old? 25-year-old elite pass rushers who just want a new contract. And the craziest part about this was Jerry Jones was willing. In his head, he thought he had a $40 million a year contract done with Micah Parsons. So you clearly were willing to offer him a massive extension that is upwards of the same total that Myles Garrett got with the Cleveland Browns. And yet, obviously he got way more in Green Bay. He got $7 million more a year annually in Green Bay. But this just is such proof that it was all about ego. There's no way the deal that Jerry Jones had in his head would have really been that much different than what the actual eventual extension would have been if he got the agent involved. Like, yeah, it would have been more money than Jerry Jones was willing to offer, but there probably would have been a middle ground between what Jerry offered, or at least what in his head he thought he offered, and what Parsons just got in Green Bay. Like, yeah, it probably wouldn't have been $40 million a year. It might have been like 43, 44, but there was some sort of middle ground. That's the crazy thing, is like the deal that Jones had made up versus what would have actually happened with the agent involved. There's not really that high of a variance. There's not that much of a gap between the reality and the fake offer, or the made up offer. So that's just more proof that this was all about ego. Jerry Jones in his head says, I'm the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, it's my way or the highway. Again, as if being the owner of the Cowboys carries any sort of clout anymore. It's a whole new era. Players have a lot of power in the NFL. And if you don't adapt, you're going to die. Guess what? The Dallas Cowboys have been dead for a long time for that very fact. And Jerry Jones, again, today, continues to show proof that he is not adapting like Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles are, like Jeffrey Lurie is. And the Eagles get these deals done years in advance for prime players like Micah Parsons that they want for a long time. And that's why they win championships. And this, what happened today, is exactly why the Dallas Cowboys, I think, are going to finish fourth in the NFC East this year. After today, I am absolutely betting on FanDuel that the Giants are going to be at least in third place, maybe second. It's them and the Commanders. And then to me, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Like, this is big time news for the Philadelphia Eagles, not just because a division rival just traded away one of the best players in the NFL, not even in his prime yet. Obviously, that helps you for the short term and the long term. But a week from today, the Eagles play this football team, the Dallas Cowboys, at Lincoln Financial Field to kick off the 2025 NFL season. So this impacts the Eagles right now, because next Thursday, now there is zero chance that Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson have to worry about Micah Parsons. And so the Dallas Cowboys, you look at that defense already, could be exploited in the secondary. Trayvon Diggs, he is not 100% healthy right now. Even if he plays in the game next Thursday, like, you can score points. You're going to be able to pass on that football team in the secondary. There's a lot of DBs that I think you can exploit in that defensive backfield. Now they don't even have their elite pass rusher on the defensive line. I think the Eagles, I don't want to say they're going to blow out Dallas next week, because week one is always weird. Teams are rusty. We'll see what actually happens. I do think the Cowboys offense can score in the passing game. They're very talented with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson. Like, they do have weapons, but I think the Eagles offense, like, if Dallas wants to keep up next week, they're going to have to put up 30 plus. I think the Eagles could put up 40 on this Cowboys defense now, because without Micah Parsons, I mean, what do they have on all three levels? Like, this is massive, not just for the obvious long-term stability or state of this division with the Cowboys involved, but it impacts the Eagles in 7 days. Like, now you do not have to play. I would say, is Parsons like a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL? Like, he's in tier 1. In my opinion, it's Myles Garrett, it's TJ Watt, it's probably Trey Hendrickson. I would say Micah Parsons is in there. I think he's a top 5 pass rusher. Like, why would you not want to pay that player, Jerry Jones? It's unbelievable. It's so fun being an Eagles fan for many reasons, but because you get to be in the division with that team and that owner, it's just so funny. They think they're still like the cream of the crop in the NFL. It's like, get over yourself. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, again, they're the only team in this conference that has not made the NFC Championship in my lifetime. This is who they've been for 30 years, and today's trade of Micah Parsons was the perfect representation of who they've become versus who they think they are, who Jerry Jones thinks he is. I will say, though, in a negative way, this does, I don't want to say it hurts the Eagles. Where Micah Parsons went is significant, though. It's noteworthy. The Green Bay Packers are getting Micah Parsons. I now think nobody's a threat to the Eagles. They're the number 1 team in the NFC. They're in a tier of their own. But I do think now the Green Bay Packers are a legit title contender. I think they are in that tier now with the Detroit Lions, with the Los Angeles Rams, atop the NFC. I think they are a top 3 challenger now with for the Eagles in this conference. I think you could make the case they're the second best team in the NFC now. I think it's, again, tier 2 would be the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and the Los Angeles Rams. Like, that Packers team already was really talented. You now add one of the best pass rushers in the NFL to that defensive line. yeah, Green Bay, like that's legit. I kind of wish he would have got traded if it wasn't to the Eagles, which we know it wasn't. Although I do wonder if how he called. He had to have called, right? I think like you have to at least, make the call. I wish he would have went to the AFC, but I'm glad that he's not a Dallas Cowboy. Green Bay, though, that's noteworthy. I think this is a steal for them. Obviously, on paper, it looks like a lot, giving up $47 million a year on a new extension, 2 first-round picks in Kenny Clark. But you're going to give up 2 picks in the 20s on day one. Kenny Clark had the worst year of his career last year, and he's 30 years old. And then you were going to give that extension to him anyway. You want to give that extension to Micah Parsons. Dallas doesn't, but Green Bay is probably super happy to do that. Overall, it seems like a lot, but I think that's a steal for the Packers. And the Cowboys now, like, they have to hope that one of those picks in the 20s becomes something close to Micah Parsons. And then are you going to pay that guy either? It's unbelievable. What a great day to be an Eagles fan. I think they're going to put up a lot of points on that Cowboys defense next Thursday night. Coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles, we got to get into some Eagles moves, though. Howie Roseman made a couple moves last night and this morning, and it's their reunions with former Philadelphia Eagles. Marcus Epps, Britton Covey back in Philadelphia. How does that impact this roster? We'll get into it coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast, guys, we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up and college football isn't far behind. In fact, we got games on tonight. Actually, there's a game that kicked off at 5:30 p.m. It's crazy. Whether you got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. For this week, PrizePicks is offering major max discounts. Max discount number 1, Avery Johnson, a max discount of over half a passing yard. Dak Prescott, max discount over half a passing yard against Philadelphia. I mean, there's so much that you can get involved with in PrizePicks. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you can still double your money. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals, they're fast, safe, and secure. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL. You're going to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. Thanks as always for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. What a great day to be an Eagles fan. Not only because we're 1 week away from the season opener next Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys, but the Dallas Cowboys also traded Micah Parsons away less than an hour ago to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and for Kenny Clark. Again, it just makes you appreciate being an Eagles fan. This is a move that Howie Roseman would just never do. And if he recognized he wasn't going to pay a guy, he wouldn't let it drag out to a week before the season. Like, as much as I hated trading away C.J. Gardner-Johnson this past March, at least Howie recognized I'm not going to pay this guy the deal eventually he's going to want. I'm going to get out in front of that contract dispute. Don't want any distractions. Like, let's get ahead of that now. We know we're not going to pay him. Let's move on. At least, even if you don't agree with the move, at least they're proactive about it instead of the reactivity that the Dallas Cowboys, is that even a word? The reactive, method that Jerry Jones likes to apply. And he's not just doing this he didn't just do this with Parsons, but it was with CeeDee Lamb and, Dak Prescott. Like, this is just the way he does business. And it's why the Dallas Cowboys don't even come close to competing for championships. Philadelphia did make some moves as well today. Definitely to a smaller degree than trading away Micah Parsons. But 2 reunions to get into. Marcus Epps, the former starting safety of that 2022 Super Bowl team, he's back in Philadelphia. Britton Covey also re-signed, both to 1-year contracts. And I think both of these moves are really smart. Let me break down each for you. For me, Marcus Epps, why I like this move, Epps showed you in 2022 that while he's not a star safety, he's not going to replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't think he's competing, or I don't think he's an option to start over Drew Makuba or Sidney Brown realistically right now. But he did show you in 2022 that you can win with Epps as a starter on a Super Bowl contending defense. Like, Epps was pretty good that year, and it earned him a pretty sizable contract with the Vegas Raiders in the 2023 offseason. So you know that there's a pretty high floor with this player. And why I like that is because there's a lot of unknowns right now with Drew Makuba and Sidney Brown. We don't know what these young guys that have no starting experience at the NFL level, we don't know what we're going to get from those two throughout the course of the season. Plus, both of them have been banged up this summer. Drew Makuba has had 2 different injuries that have kept him out of practice. Sidney Brown got injured in that preseason game. Both are, I don't want to say smaller safeties, but definitely thinner in frame. And yet they play very aggressive play styles. So there is a bigger injury risk with those two compared to like a Reed Blankenship. So for those reasons, because they're inexperienced, we're not sure what we're getting from Makuba and Brown, even though there's a pretty high ceiling with both. We don't know what we're getting, and both have dealt with injuries this summer. So bringing in a veteran in Marcus Epps, who has been in Philadelphia before, we know there's a high floor with this player. He can be a solid starter in your secondary. Again, you're not going to win games because of Marcus Epps, but you can win with Marcus Epps. And I don't think he was terrible these last couple of years. He had a torn ACL, had injuries, and just wasn't able to really get his footing. Coming back to Philadelphia as that 4th safety, like that's, I think, a much bigger upgrade than what they had as that 4th guy with Tristan McCullum, who, by the way, did get claimed off waivers today. So the Eagles not able to retain McCullum. Marcus Epps, to me, is an upgrade at that 4th safety spot. But as of right now, he is not on the 53-man roster. So the Eagles 53 is set. Marcus Epps was signed to the practice squad. I imagine he and Britton Covey will get called up throughout the regular season. I think eventually one or both will get signed to the 53-man roster. But right now, both actually, Epps and Covey, were designated as practice squad players. So I like the reunion with Marcus Epps. I like the Britton Covey move too. You guys heard me mention on the last 2 episodes that I wanted to bring in another returner, somebody that can return kicks and punts, because Anais Smith did not work out. Avery Williams did not work out. Yeah, Will Shipley's there. I think he could be a solid punt kick returner, but outside of Shipley, who else is really an option that's not named Cooper DeJean? I know Cooper DeJean had some pretty good returns last year. He's a good punt returner. Cooper DeJean is so instrumental to this defense in so many different ways, against the pass, against the run, as a slot corner, somebody that can play outside corner if Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett are just terrible. He can play safety if Makuba and Sidney Brown are banged up, and Marcus Epps isn't the player that he was in 2022. I don't want that guy getting injured fielding punts. So that's why I mentioned maybe bringing in Mecole Hardman, bringing in a KJ Hamler, bringing in a DeAndre Carter. The Eagles preferred to go with a player that they know and somebody that's produced at a very high level as a punt returner. Britton Covey, statistically, in 2022 and 2023, was a top-tier punt returner. So bringing him back into the fold, I think, makes a ton of sense. And he's on the practice squad right now. They are carrying 5 receivers on the 53. We'll see what happens as the season goes on, but they will be bringing Covey up a couple times early on in the year, and eventually I think they will sign him to the 53-man roster. I'm not sure who they'll cut, but I do think that Covey's going to be a part of this team throughout the season. Because, again, outside of Will Shipley and Cooper DeJean, who do you have as returners? So I like both moves. And by the way, if you are wondering how those practice squad elevations work, so practice squad players can be called up 3 times a year before they need to be signed to the 53. So the Eagles can use Covey, Marcus Epps, anybody else on their practice squad, Terrace Marshall, Holland Pierce. They brought in a lot of guys to the practice squad. You can elevate anybody upwards of 3 times during the season. And this, after COVID, the practice squad rules got more flexible. It's almost like a farm system now, minor league hockey or, the minor leagues in baseball, if you will. So you can call up all your practice squad players 3 times each before you need to sign them to the 53. You can call up only, though, 2 practice squad players every week. I imagine Covey will be called up the first 3 weeks of the season to return punts. We'll see how he looks. Maybe sign him to that 53 at the end of the month, at the end of September. With Marcus Epps, I think you'll probably bring him up as well because, again, you're very light at safety. Obviously, like I said, Cooper DeJean can play some safety if he needs to, but traditional safeties right now, they only have 3 of them on the 53. It's Reed Blankenship, it's Drew Makuba, and it's Sidney Brown. So I imagine both will be a part of this team throughout the 2025 season. All right, guys, we'll wrap up this Thursday edition of Locked On Eagles. Coming up next, the Eagles are getting healthy on the offensive side of the football, and that's huge 1 week away from this matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. Who's ready to play next week, starter-wise? We'll get into it coming up right here on Locked On Eagles. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Rugiet. Rugiet Ready. You've probably heard of, Viagra, Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last upwards of 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. It's awesome that it's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL. Use our code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com, Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL, and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. And guys, today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is a week away. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 back in bonus bets to use across the app. The NFL season, again, it's 1 week away. Start betting on the Eagles' money line. Take some futures. Maybe you want Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley to win MVP. Do you have a dark horse candidate to win the division? You can bet on it all. Parlays, quick and easy bets at FanDuel. Get ready to play. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Eagles fans, we are wrapping up this Thursday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast. What a great day. Micah Parsons out of the NFC East, like obviously the Green Bay Packers. Now with Parsons on their defense, a much bigger threat to the Eagles in the NFC. But getting Parsons out of the division, keeping the Dallas Cowboys down, especially when you play them in a week, starting the season fast is so important. So getting Parsons out of this division and not even giving him a chance to play, I doubt they were going to have a contract done by next Thursday, so it was very unlikely he was going to play anyway. But now there's no shot of that. And again, like I said earlier in the show, when you look at just how banged up this defense is in Dallas, how thin it is and inconsistent, there's a lot of guys you could exploit on all three levels. Not having Parsons now is massive. Like I said, starting a season hot in the NFL is one of the most important things you can do. I think if you're slow out of the gate in the NFL, I don't want to say it's so hard to come back and be a contender that year, but when you're behind the eight ball like that, it's just not ideal. And the Eagles, their schedule early on, the first month, it's brutal. I mean, you got to play the Chiefs right after the Cowboys in Arrowhead, a Super Bowl 59 rematch. So getting a win against the Cowboys is so crucial. And, you can be rusty to start the year. Everybody is, especially nowadays where, starters aren't playing in the preseason. Especially in Philadelphia, they're being rested the entire time. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, they've been undefeated week one since 2021. And this team has gotten off to hot starts every single year since 2022 in this era. So I'm not overly concerned. They've been able to, get ahead of these, slow starts. They've started the complete opposite, in fact. But I want to make sure that continues because when the schedule is as tough as Philly's is this year, from a perspective of difficulty, it's the fourth toughest schedule in the NFL. You have to you want to stack wins early on because if you lose week one, suddenly week two, there's a lot of pressure. That's a must-win game. If you start 0-2 in a year, that's brutal. The NFL season can get out of hand quickly for you. So starting off fast is crucial. This game against Dallas is huge. It's a divisional opponent, so getting a win in the NFC East is huge. Getting Parsons out of the division for this game, it's awesome. I think this Eagles offense is going to be able to put up a lot of points on Thursday night. The only way I think the Cowboys win this game is if the Eagles shoot themselves in the foot and there's turnovers, there's sloppy play on their end, or Dak Prescott in the passing game just completely ball out and win a shootout. Because Dallas's defense, I don't know how they're going to stop this Eagles offense without Parsons. And now you look at the Eagles offense, like everybody's coming back healthy. Landon Dickerson practiced today. A.J. Brown's back at practice. So too is Devontae Smith. 3 of their starters that have been banged up over the last month, all according to Zach Berman of The Athletic, are projected to start in this game on Thursday night. So that's massive. They're getting everybody back healthy on the offensive side of the football. This is such an important game, and I know it sounds obvious week 1, but again, it's against a division rival. Your schedule is so tough. It's the 4th toughest schedule in the NFL from a win percentage perspective from 2024. You got to get this win, and I think they're going to be able to put up a lot of yardage. I think this is going to be like, Saquon Barkley's going to get his, but I think Jalen Hurts is going to start the season off with a bang. I think he's going to make a statement week 1, saying like, I'm here. Last year in the NFC title, the Super Bowl, that wasn't a mirage. I can carry this football team as well. I've heard all the doubts all offseason long. I've heard Cam Newton just continue to make stupid comments about me. I think this is going to be a big Jalen Hurts passing game on Thursday Night Football. So thank you, Jerry Jones, for trading Micah Parsons outside of the NFC East. Big news that Landon Dickerson's back from practice. They dodged that bullet, thought that was going to be a serious injury. A.J. Brown back at practice, should be good to go week 1. Same with Devontae Smith. Everything right now, at least, knock on wood, is coming up Eagles in the NFC East. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Eagles. Thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Guys, also asking you all a favor. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for helping us out. And thank you so much for downloading, watching, and listening. And as always, let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.